Most people think sunrise is peaceful for birds. The soft light, the gentle chorus, the world slowly waking up. But for tiny backyard birds, the final 90 minutes before sunrise may be the most dangerous stretch of their entire day. By then, many have spent the entire night burning energy just to stay warm. They have not eaten in hours. The cold is at its worst. Predators are still moving. And strangely, this is the same moment many birds begin to sing. 10 brutal truths about what actually happens before sunrise. After this, you may never hear the morning chorus the same way again. Welcome back to Yard Wings Journal, where we explore the silent survival stories unfolding in your garden. In this video, we'll delve into 10 facts about what your garden birds actually experience in the hours before sunrise. By the time we get to the final fact, morning bird songs will take on a completely different meaning for you. Here's the truth about the most dangerous time of day for a bird. Truth number 1. By dawn, their energy is nearly gone and they still cannot eat. Small birds run on extremely high metabolisms. During the day, they feed almost constantly just to keep up. But at night, they cannot feed at all, and while they sleep, their bodies keep burning. A chickadee can lose nearly 10% of its total body weight in a single cold night. Not from activity, just from staying warm, just from breathing through hours of cold darkness. By the final 90 minutes before sunrise, many small backyard birds are running on near empty, and hunger is making everything worse. Most small species have gone 10, 11, sometimes 12 hours without food. Every system in their body is sending the same signal: find something to eat now. But the world is still too dark. Seeds are invisible on the ground. Insects are still. The light birds need to forage safely simply has not arrived yet. So they wait, cold, exhausted, and urgently hungry, knowing that every minute of waiting is costing them energy they may not have left. And cold is pressing in from the other direction at the same time. Truth number 2. Just before sunrise is the coldest moment of the entire day. Not midnight, not 2 in the morning. The coldest point in a typical day arrives in the final minutes before the sun appears. And for a bird that weighs less than half an ounce, cold is not just uncomfortable. It is a direct drain on whatever energy they have remaining. To survive, birds fluff their feathers to trap warm air, tuck their feet against their bodies to reduce heat loss, and some species even lower their core body temperature in a controlled way, a process called regulated hypothermia, to stretch their remaining fuel a little further. But every minute of cold air against a tiny body means more energy burned, more reserves gone, more pressure on a system that is already at its limit. The closer sunrise gets, the colder the air becomes. And the colder the air, the harder survival becomes. But cold is not the only threat waiting out there in the dark. Truth number 3. Darkness itself is a physical barrier to survival. Most backyard birds are highly visual animals. Their ability to find food, detect threats, navigate around their environment, and react in time, all of it depends entirely on having enough light. In near total darkness, a bird cannot safely leave its roost. It cannot forage effectively. It cannot evaluate whether a movement nearby is just a falling leaf or something that wants to eat it. But light does not arrive all at once. It comes gradually in slow stages. And birds have evolved to track those changes with remarkable sensitivity, detecting light levels far below what human eyes can register. They are not simply waiting for the sun to rise. They are measuring the light, tracking the gradient, calibrating exactly when conditions shift from too dangerous to move to survivable. Some birds begin stirring 30 or 40 minutes before what most of us would even recognize as sunrise. But darkness is not the only danger waiting outside the roost. Truth number 4. Many predators are still active during this hour. The period just before sunrise is a productive hunting window for several animals that prey on backyard birds. Owls are still out and making their final hunts of the night. Domestic cats, responsible for billions of bird deaths every year, are highly active at both dawn and dusk. Foxes, raccoons, and other small predators move through suburban neighborhoods during these quiet pre-dawn hours, and the birds they encounter at this time are slower, colder, and far less reactive than at any other point in the day. Exhaustion reduces reaction time. Cold slows muscle response. Low light limits visibility from every direction at once. For a small backyard bird right now, the familiar yard is not a safe space. It is an obstacle course where each obstacle carries real consequences, and every obstacle can be fatal. Which means birds must make a decision that has no clean answer. Truth number 5. Every single morning, birds must make an impossible decision. Leave too early, and a predator may catch them in the dim light before they can properly react. Wait too long, and their bodies may exhaust the very last of their energy reserves before they ever get to eat. There is no safe option. Every morning, every small backyard bird must calculate the exact moment when the risk of starvation outweighs the risk of predation, and then commit to that moment without knowing whether it is correct. Scientists describe this as a genuine survival trade-off. Birds use light levels, temperature, their own energy state, and the behavior of other birds nearby to calibrate exactly when to move. It is a daily calculation made under real physical pressure, and it plays out in the life of every backyard bird, every single morning, without exception. And then, when that decision is finally made, under the weight of everything stacked against them, something remarkable happens in the yard. Stop for just a moment. 5 truths in, every single one about pressure, cold, hunger, darkness, predators, an impossible decision that has no safe answer. Now I want to shift the frame slightly, because the 5 truths that follow are not only about survival pressure, they are about what birds actually do with that pressure, how they respond to it, what they communicate through it, and what it ultimately produces. The thing that most people have heard every single morning of their adult lives, outside their windows, on their walk to the car, from the backyard, without once truly understanding what it actually means. The dawn chorus. And it is not what most people think it is. Truth number 6. The dawn chorus is not beautiful music, it is a survival signal. To human ears, the sound of birds singing before sunrise feels peaceful, meditative, like the world gently waking up around us while we hold our morning coffee. But to birds, it is something far more specific and far more urgent than that. The dawn chorus is a broadcast, a declaration, a simultaneous transmission from dozens of individual birds communicating something very precise to everyone within hearing range. What are they communicating? That they survived the night. Each bird that sings at dawn is announcing, "I made it through. I am still here. I am strong enough to spend energy on this sound right now. This territory is mine. I am someone you need to hear." Territorial males use the chorus to reinforce their claim on space before competitors arrive to test it. Females use it to assess which males survived and which did not. Neighboring birds update their mental map of who is still present after a night that may have changed everything. The dawn chorus is not decoration. It is information, But not every bird in that chorus is sending the same message. Truth number 7. The strongest birds are often the ones that can afford to sing most loudly at dawn. Singing costs energy. Real, measurable energy. At the exact moment in the day when energy is most critically scarce. A bird that is genuinely depleted after a hard night simply cannot sustain the volume and the complexity that real dawn singing actually demands. But a bird that is singing loudly, with rich and varied song, at the darkest and coldest point of the morning, is showing something real. It is showing it survived the night in better condition than the bird staying silent nearby, that it has energy reserves when others around it do not. Scientists call this an honest signal, a form of communication that is very difficult to fake, because the physical cost of faking it is simply too high. Dawn singing may be the daily public test of fitness, audible to every bird in the neighborhood, and the morning air makes that signal travel even farther than most people ever realize. Truth number 8. Cold morning air carries birdsong farther than at any other time of day. There is a clear physical reason the dawn chorus sounds so striking and so clear even before the sun is fully up. Cold, dense, still air is exceptionally good at transmitting sound waves. In warm afternoon air, sound energy scatters and dissipates relatively quickly as it moves outward. But in the cold, heavy, near-windless air of pre-dawn, those same sound waves travel much farther and reach ears at significantly greater distances than they otherwise would. This means a bird singing at dawn is effectively broadcasting to a much larger audience than the exact same song sung at noon would ever reach. For territorial communication, that is a real advantage. A male can establish and announce his presence across a wider area without having to physically patrol every inch of it. But it is also a meaningful liability. The same acoustic conditions that let a bird's song reach a potential mate 100 meters away also allow a predator to locate that singing bird with greater precision than it could in warmer, noisier afternoon air. Every choice at dawn carries a cost attached to it, and the morning air carries more than just sound. Truth number 9. Morning humidity and dew add one more layer of pressure. And for the weakest birds, the night runs out before sunrise does. Before sunrise, relative humidity is at its highest point of the day. Dew forms on exposed surfaces, and that includes on feathers. Birds depend on tiny insulating air pockets trapped within their feathers to retain body heat. Moisture disrupts those air pockets. Damp feathers trap less air. Less trapped air means reduced insulation. Reduced insulation means more body heat escaping outward into the cold. And more heat lost means more energy burned to compensate. Birds manage this through careful preening and waterproofing oils produced from the preen gland. But these are imperfect defenses in high humidity pre-dawn conditions. This is one reason birds consistently prefer elevated feeders immediately after dawn rather than foraging on the ground. Raised surfaces and tree canopies dry faster. But beyond dew, there is a harder truth. In harsh weather, the final stretch before sunrise can be the point where survival fails for the weakest birds. Not at midnight. The final minutes before dawn are when energy is lowest, cold is most intense, and every pressure arrives at the same time. An empty spot on a branch. A feeder that one regular visitor will never return to. A chorus with one fewer voice than the morning before. For some birds, sunrise does not come. Truth number 10. Sunrise does not end the struggle. It immediately starts another one. The moment light is finally sufficient. Birds that survive the night must begin competing for food. Not gradually, Not after a rest. Immediately. Every bird in the neighborhood is in exactly the same depleted state. Exhausted, hungry, and urgently needing to recover what the long night took from them. The feeder that was empty and silent an hour ago suddenly becomes a genuine competition. The best foraging spots, the ones with the most visible seeds, the safest positions, the easiest escape routes, go to the birds that arrive first. Species dominance hierarchies reassert themselves the moment birds reach the feeder. Larger birds displace smaller ones. Faster birds outcompete slower ones. And birds that are still weakened and depleted from a particularly hard night are at a real disadvantage from the very first minute of actual daylight. There is no rest between the end of one survival pressure and the beginning of the next. The night shift of cold and exhaustion transitions directly, without pause, without recovery time, into the day shift of competition, urgency, and foraging. For backyard birds, every single day begins with a race. And the birds that win that race are the ones who had the reserves left to enter it. The next time you hear birds singing before sunrise, remember what you are actually hearing. Not decoration, not background music for your morning coffee, not a peaceful natural soundtrack. You are hearing creatures that survived a full night of cold, hunger, exhaustion, and real danger, and are now announcing that survival to every competitor, every potential mate, and every predator within range. Cold, hungry, exhausted, and still here. The birds outside your window are not simply part of the background scenery. They are among the toughest small animals on this planet, quietly facing pressures most of us will never experience. In a yard we walk through every day without a second thought. The next time you step outside before sunrise, slow down, listen, and try to hear them for what they actually are. Not background noise, not a pleasant soundtrack, but evidence of survival you happen to be standing close enough to notice. This is why the first hour after sunrise matters so much in a backyard. Clean seed, unfrozen water, safe cover nearby where birds can escape quickly if they need to, and a feeder placed where birds have clear sight lines to spot a threat before it reaches them. You do not control what happens through the night, but you can make the morning safer. That is the one thing every bird outside your window right now is counting on someone nearby to understand. And it is something any backyard can offer. If this changed the way you hear the birds outside your window in the morning, subscribe, because every week we find one more hidden survival story happening quietly in backyards like yours. Stories most people walk past every single day without knowing they are there. And in the next video, we are going to explore why backyard birds sometimes go completely silent, all at once, with no warning at all. Every species in the yard at the same moment, and what they may be sensing long before any of us do.